Going to hear the first bill without taking action. I do not have a quorum yet, but I hope I'll have it soon. Representative Wiedauer, since you had one bill on our agenda that you agree needs just a little bit more work and we're not ready for a vote yet, I'm going to let you go ahead and present House Bill 630. Is that the one that you want us to tweak slightly?
Yes, Mr.
If you would just present that to us. Nobody has signed up to speak on it, but I don't think it's fair to vote on it until we make those small changes that you want. But we'll go ahead and hear from you, get you to explain it, so that hopefully it'll be a very quick meeting when we consider it next meeting. All right, the
Thank you,
floor is
Mr.
yours. Go right ahead.
All right, committee, thank you for hearing this today. We're looking at LC 550581S. This is, I'll have two bills in here today. These are additional licensure measures. You know, the Blue Ribbon Committee over the summer, and as you guys heard earlier this week, I believe, House Bill 579, Representative Reeves, we took a long, in-depth look at licensure and how it's being handled in the state of Georgia, trying to get people to work quicker. So there will be two more measures that address it. This one is going to be dealing with used motor vehicle and used motor vehicle parts dealers. We'll just run through it fairly quickly and obviously answer any questions we might have. Governor's priority, Amy Dorman is here for any additional questions from the governor's office. We'll dive into it real quick. Starting in definitions, it defines the division director on lines 16, 17, lines 25, 26, revises the definition of established place of business. Going into the board changes, so obviously with some of these, we've had issues staffing the boards or having people show up for board meetings, so licensure doesn't get issued quickly enough or in a timely manner. So this combines the two divisions of the board. It happens in several lines between lines 25 and 430. It decreases the size of the board and eliminates some board seats that aren't relevant to the industry. The board will go from 14 members down to 9 members. That's on line 54. Lines 69 through 74 cleans up some outdated information regarding the initial appointments to the board. Lines 75, 76, it removes the cap on the number of board members that may be appointed from a single congressional district. Again, trying to open the pool up to get more people that are available for the board to serve. Line 121, this partners with HB 590 to give PLB Division Director the authority to administer licenses to applicants. All right, moving on to powers and duties of the board. A couple of different things happen here. I'm sure you've heard about this in the last bill you've heard, but on lines 137, 138 codifies language from the Georgia Supreme Court's decision in Jackson versus Raffensperger. Lines 157, 158 authorizes the board to establish minimum requirements and standards for an established place of business.
All right, let me slow you down because I think
Yes, sir.
we're following you. So this is trying to streamline the State Board of Registration of used motor vehicle dealers and used motor vehicle parts dealers.
Yes, sir.
So they are licensed separately from like new car dealers.
Yes, sir.
All right. And you're cleaning up somewhat the language and narrowing down the scope and size of that board.
That's correct.
Okay. And then the first significant change I saw is you're allowing that board to designate the location that these dealerships can be located, the size of them, so they're not just a hole in the wall, or maybe
That's
want
right.
them to be a hole in the wall. I don't know.
I think we've had several measures kind of come through that we're having issues with these tops being issued and especially with the used car and sales, the tops being used. Temporary operating permits being utilized in illegal ways,
Okay.
And they're being shipped out, out of state. They're being utilized on high-end vehicles so that people can find a way to not pay taxes, what have you. So they're buying these illegal tops. So we're trying to crack down on that the use.
So you want them to have a permanent location and to be a significant enough size that it's a legitimate business, not just a sort of a pop-up type
That's right.
operation. Okay, makes sense. Carry on.
Thank you. All right, I think I was at,
Well, yeah, so I cut
licensure-
you off. You were
You're fine,
getting
you're
into
fine.
180s
Yep,
because
yep,
that's
somewhere in
what
there.
caught my
So,
eye.
yeah,
They have
licensing
to have an
require-
established place of business. Okay.
licensure requirements, lines 177 through 266. It just restructures the licensing requirements to enhance clarity and usability for applicants. Again, trying to streamline some of this as well. Temporary sites allows the fee to be, for the temporary site to be set, allows the fee for the temporary site permit to be set through the board rule. That's lines 270, 271. Moving on to 283 to 291. This deals with change of location licenses. The bill authorizes the board and division director to establish fees for a change of location license. On lines 380, 381, it allows the board to discipline licensees who fail to submit a change of location application. At the very end of the bill, we've added, and this is, we'll probably get into a little bit more work on this and why we're going to hold this today and just have a hearing only. But again, trying to get all these different licenses taken care of, we've let a few slip through the cracks. So on this last section on, let me go back to the second to last page here, is for behavior analysts. It adds the Qualified Applied Behavior Analyst Credentialing Board as an accrediting board for the practice of applied behavior analysts.
So that's a whole total
Which is
different
a whole
subject matter.
total subject matter, which is why we're going to tweak some language on that. when we
How
come
did this
back.
pop into your bill? Was that some rules committee substitute or something? I know
This
y'all
was
don't-
this was a byproduct of, again, a couple of different boards that we just didn't get to the finish line before the 579 bill came out. We were still polishing language, and through efforts of being efficient of getting you guys not having to hear 27 bills on licensure, we were trying to combine a few things.
Yeah, we got lucky we only had 17.
There you go.
I'm not kidding. They weren't all licensure. Okay, so that was just changing the name on a whole
That is
different
just
type.
literally a name change.
Okay. And the one thing you skipped over, I wanted to make sure
Yes, sir.
committee knows, is lines 386, 387. One way to lose your license is now if you vacate your place of business for 30 days or more and don't submit that information of your change to the licensing board.
Yes, sir.
That stops these pop-up places where
I did
they're
miss that one. Thank you.
fly-by-nights. Okay. Any questions from committee members?
Morning, Mr. Chairman.
All right, I recognize you, Chairman Summers.
Thank you, sir. Representative, could you go over the part about where they can operate out of? For example, like in rural Georgia, I mean, they don't have nice buildings and all these showroom facilities like you do up here, so they may just pick a Piggly Wiggly parking lot, you know what I'm trying to say, and open up a car dealership and sell some cars for a couple of years. I don't want to, they don't have a lot of choices.
Yeah, it really doesn't get in that. We're not getting into square footage and stuff. This really is just defining, making sure they're not working out of a closet. You know, there's a building in I believe Marietta. I apologize, I don't remember exactly where it is. Somewhere nearby. There are hundreds of licensed used car dealers that are operating out of a building that doesn't have anyone working in it.
Well, I know y'all don't do things like that up North Georgia. I got you.
We got chop shops take care of us.
That's right.
And tell me what you're working on, again, just that very last little part, or what are you trying to tweak? to
Yes,
get there?
there was some wording that we're going to switch up in that last little part. Everything else, the first 18 pages of the bill, you won't see anything different when I see you next week.
All right, if you will bring those changes to me,
Yes, sir.
if I can get them on Monday, I'll be here, working on a few things. We can have a committee sub, and we can put you back on the agenda next Tuesday.
That'd be great. And we're working with Senator
4
Walker.
o'clock.
And we're
Tuesday
working with
afternoon.
Senator Walker on that. So.
Okay. And if you'll get that to us, this should be very little trouble to move. Either nobody's interested in your bill or nobody's opposed to it, because
I'm not
nobody
very
signed
interested
up to
person,
speak
so.
at all on it other than you. All right, let's move on to your next bill. Maybe we'll have a little more fun with it. House Bill 635.
I will skip the intro remarks because, again, this is coming out of the Blue Ribbon Committee from the summer. This is taking on the residential and general contractor licensing. The State Licensing Board for Residential and Commercial General Contractors. Again, clarifying, revising, and streamlining the process. We'll start on line 38. This eliminates term limits for board members. Lines 48 and 62, it expands the eligibility for public building official position. Again, we're trying to cast a wider net to be able to get people on these boards. The examination process it spans from lines 92 to 238. It eliminates prior authorization requirement for the examination. It increases the PLB efficiency, streamlines the process, and reduces the financial burden on unqualified applicants, allowing them to determine their eligibility before paying the application fee. Lines 259, 266, this removes the limited number of exams attempts an applicant may take. If somebody wants to keep taking the test, keep studying, I'm not sure why we're trying to keep them from working, so we're eliminating that. Within these, there's a couple of different licensing. So residential basic is the we'll call it the bottom tier of general contract, or the licensure for contractors. So we'll go through that first. Again, we're eliminating some subjective experiential language and licensing requirements. We are excuse me. So this is just, again, we're trying to get people to have an opportunity to take these tests and be able to license. So it's just, there's some experiential language that gets in there. It gets a little confusing on what experience is acceptable. So we're just cleaning up that language under the residential basic license.
And you want some people that actually have been builders rather than public officials to
That's
serve on
correct.
the board.
That's correct.
Okay. You know, you might want to sort of inform our committee what you do for a living.
I just hammer 2x4s together, sir, and we try to do it as good as we can.
Marcus really used to do that himself, but he works for a huge contractor. And I asked him when he brought the bill, I said, well, I'm pretty sure you're not adding more red tape to your own profession. So
No, sir. No,
I'm
sir.
comforted that this is streamlining the board that handles the construction fields licensing.
Yes, sir. My first year down here, my electrician stepped over to me while I was running a skill saw and looked at me and said, guarantee you the only person going to a Capitol Day to vote that's running a skill saw right now. So, yes.
The
yeah.
one thing out of this, and it scared me when I saw 14 pages till I started skimming through, and there's really not anything other than the board and supervision, is you have on the very end there, lines 342 to 346, as you're listing ways you can lose your license.
Yes, sir.
If you enter into a contract
So this is,
with somebody else letting them use your license and they're not, tell me what that's addressing.
yeah, so what that is, it's and you've seen it happen, right? I have in the industry. It's somebody that gets licensed and then shops their license. So, Senator Summers here comes to me and he wants to build something, but he's not licensed. He's like, hey, man, can I throw you $1,000? You pull this permit for me. We're trying to ensure that people that are utilizing these licenses and engaging in this construction activity are licensed and they use that license for the appropriate reasons.
Okay. Yes, I recognize you, Senator, again for a question.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Wiedauer, one of the things that I think pretty much any occupation you want to do, you can do yourself on your own property. That if somebody wants to go build their own house or they do their own electrical work, how do you protect somebody from saying, well, I'm doing this myself, but I got a friend that's helping me? What's the situation there with the? I've always wondered how you combat that, if that's a problem or if that's not a problem. I mean,
Well, so what I would suggest on that is, in every county that I've operated in, if you live there, you can sign an affidavit that you're going to construct your own home. So in that environment, you're not engaging in necessarily utilizing somebody else's license. This is really just trying to close the gap on me shopping my license to anyone and everyone just to make some money off of being licensed.
I understand
Okay, sorry.
that scenario where, there's a contractor that wants to go do it, or there's an individual that wants to go do work and use your license and to pull the permit to do that work. But in the situation where you have a homeowner that says, hey, I got a buddy that's pretty handy with heating and air or electrical or whatever the case may be, and he goes and pulls his own permit, the homeowner pulls his own permit, and then has his buddy do the work, is that a problem, or is that, where does that fall into the grand scheme of things?
Even in a scenario like that, let's say use HVAC for example, and I'll just use that as well. You still, somebody that's doing the HVAC is still going to have to go pull an HVAC license. The license that someone like a homeowner can get around is that they're going to be the GC or the overseer of the entire construction project. When you get into the more specific elements like electrical, HVAC, plumbing, they're getting their own licenses regardless. So even if my buddy was really good at HVAC and I'm the homeowner and I decide to sign an affidavit saying I'm going to be my own GC, I'm still going to have to engage in a licensed contractor for certain elements of that building.
Okay, I guess I'm not asking the question correctly, but
Or maybe I'm not hearing it correctly. I'm sorry.
for me, I've done as much wiring as a lot of folks. I do an awful lot of wiring. I'm not a licensed electrician, but when I built my house, I did the electrical work. Said because I knew I wanted it done right, and I knew my dad was a licensed electrician. That they taught his kids how to do that kind of work. If I went to go pull an electrical permit, said as a homeowner, I think I was eligible to do that. Said we only in the only permit that we had was one as a building contractor, but we didn't have special trades in there. And I'm kind of curious, in other jurisdictions, do you have to pull separate permits for every trade that's in there? And then, if you're a homeowner, can you pull whatever permit you want?
Well, I would just suggest, I hear your question. I'm not sure how it applies to revisiting how the residential and commercial general contractors are licensed. Those licenses aren't affected in this piece of legislation whatsoever.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Chairman Summers has some assistance here. You get a little
if I may,
dial a friend.
we can phone a friend here.
Sure.
If a homeowner pulls a permit, whatever price house it is, with the county or the city it's involved in, Chairman again's question here, and I've done this many times, the homeowner becomes the general contractor. And the homeowner can literally do anything as long as it meets code, basically. If it meets code, homeowner can do it. If the codes official asks them, have you got a licensed electrician to do the job, you can just simply, I did the job. Now, if you want to cheat and use an electrician, that's your business. But I mean, you're still the GC, and they don't usually ask for an affidavit on a house-by-house basis or whatever. But I think going back to what Senator Ginn's trying to get to is he just don't want to mess it up for any homeowner to be able to do their own project.
This
It has nothing to do with
This
it.
has nothing to do with that.
I think, is that right, Senator Ginn? Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Senator again. I didn't understand that, how you're going, but no, this does not affect that in any way, shape, or form.
Any other questions? Well,
Is there?
we went from having 6 members to 4 members, and we need 7 for a vote here, so I'm gonna let them ask you another question, Senator Summers.
That's another question then.
They're going
That
around
la-
one up.
that
Don't-
last-
Have no fear.
That last, about losing their license. There's in my area, I won't call her name obviously, but in my area, I know the contractor became incapacitated. He's a great contractor. I built homes with him. He's built homes. We built apartment complexes, whatever. He got crushed, lost the ability to use his legs. He's in a wheelchair. The only way he can make money, basically, is he can let people use his license, and he kind of inspects your job. Under this scenario, he's going to lose that ability.
No, if he's truly the supervising,
Yeah.
I mean, I would contend that, let me say it like this: he's opening himself up. I mean, like to.
I understand.
So I mean, this in
He's
some
got
way
to make a living.
Sure, but in some ways, this is still protecting. This is still protecting the consumer, making sure that they're doing things the right way. And I would contend that if somebody's going to shop their license that way, then he needs to be supervising it. I'm not certain that I don't.
I know. I just want to put that out there.
No,
Some of these boys, as you're saying, license shopping is happening all the time.
Sure.
So, anyway.
All right, let
I
me
could
introduce y'all to my sweet mate, Senator Captain Chuck Payne, Army Ranger, paratrooper, who retired. What were you really, Major, General?
No,
Something
I
big.
was enlisted, yes.
He was a good one. He is a new ex officio member.
Not a show horse.
He is the new ex officio member to give us quorum. As soon as the Dean of the Senate steps back in, we're going to be able to vote on your bill. Did they have any other questions? Oh, now there goes Senator Sims.
Well,
Let me, yeah. So I will say what's going on is,
What's the game score, by the way?
well, we just went to halftime.
There we go.
We're down,
There we go.
we're down 21. I'm not very happy with
we're
that.
gonna act quick before anybody leaves. You do what I do, okay? And, you're safe, Marcus.
Thank you, sweet mate.
All right.
Motion passed, Mr. President.
What's the pleasure of the committee? We got a quorum.
Motion passed.
All right, we got a motion to pass by our rules chairman and a second from the dean of the Senate, just by eye contact. Any discussion or any further amendments proposed to this? All right, then we will vote on House Bill 635, LC 550546. All in favor, raise your hand. There you go. Any opposed? All right. Representative, always a pleasure to have my local delegation present here. I know you got a very important basketball game to follow.
Thank you,
for us.
sir.
Who is going to carry this in the Senate? Do you
Larry
have a
Walker.
preference?
Larry Walker.
Larry
Like-
Walker, the licensing
Anyone
king.
would like it, I'll take it.
No, I just wonder if we're going to have to go through every single profession and streamline these. It looks like we're going through all of them and streamlining the boards, trying to make them more efficient, more responsive to the public, right?
Trying to get Georgians to work.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, let me take it back to the top on House Bill 54. Everybody in your folders, you're about to get confused. Representative Clark at the last meeting agreed to hold this because there was a substitute being prepared that combined his bill with House Bill 298. Take that one, it's at the bottom, I think, LC 55061-2S. And you can toss it. He does not want to hear that bill. There was another one, well, I guess that was LC 520844S. That was that might have been your original bill coming out of the House, which was a substitute, or what was that one?
The original should be LC 52077-3S.
All right, that is not the original. That's the third version of this, but it's the one you want to present, right, or wrong? Is that the one you want, or do you want the one where you have the change?
Give you the latest numbers, will you?
You get to pick. Whichever one of these versions you want us to consider, we will consider. See? Okay. That he started with? Okay, the last one you brought us this afternoon, or yesterday, was LC 520844S.
Correct.
Is
That is the one.
That's the one you want to rock with?
Yes, sir.
All righty.
Rest of them are-
Everybody else can toss the rest of them, see if you can find it, substitute to House Bill 54. It's LC 520844S. All right, that is the magic bullet. Tell us about it.
The only thing added from the original yesterday that I brought, that substitute, this one just adds lines 167 to 169. Just add some clarification for the PAs to be able to assign home health services, and it adds, in addition to and without limiting the authority granted by code section, et cetera, a physician may delegate to a physician assistant in accordance with a job description the authority to order home health care services to a patient. So it's just clarifying the PA. Sheila Hoverstone had asked for that, and so that just clarifies this language.
Makes clear that a PA can also
Correct.
send somebody to home health services,
Yep.
refer them to that. All right, you have Sheila Hummerstone signed up to speak. Ms. Hummerstone, are you here with us? Come talk real briefly, and maybe you can explain what change it was that you persuaded him to put into your bill. Because it used to be his bill, now it's your bill,
It's everybody's bill, Mr. Chairman.
the people's bill.
That's
All
right, that's right. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Sheila Humberstone with Stonebridge Consulting, here today on behalf of the Georgia Association of Physician Assistants. I want to commend the author for bringing the bill. Thank you for the amount of work that you did to make sure we had a good substitute in front of us today. I think the intent of the bill was always to make sure that physician assistants could order home health services, and I think the way it was originally originally drafted, it went through Title 16 and 31 and added where you currently have in statute physician may, it says physician or PA. And what we wanted to do was add some clarifying language under 43 where we're regulated to make sure that we're actually providing that authority to actually provide that home health. So it's just a clarifying amendment, and I appreciate the author being willing to take it and you for putting it forward.
All right, I recognize Senator Summers for a question.
Yes,
On
sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the PA side, how does it affect the NP side, the nurse practitioner?
You'd have to ask the nurse practitioners. They're not in this bill as
Maybe
it
that-
stands right
It's
now.
not you're not putting them in there? Okay.
No, it's just PAs.
Just PA, okay. Thank you.
All right, well, if there are no further questions, I would be receptive to a motion do pass on LC 520844.
Do pass, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Got a motion do pass. Is there a second? Second by our ex officio member, General Payne. And any discussion? He's gotten promoted. He did so well on the first bill. All in favor, raise your hand. All right, any opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you.
Scared, David.
Second.
I used to call him
Senator
Major
Brass.
Payne. Who's carrying?
Senator
it?
Brass.
All right, good pick. Powerful.
Went to the top, baby, went to the top.
He ain't messing. I guess you're gonna get on the rules calendar pretty quick.
Exactly. I'm about to have two bills sitting there.
All
so-
right, Representative Washburn, House Bill 187.
Does that guarantee my rules calendar?
It depends on how his bill's doing in the House, I bet. All right, Representative, thank you for bearing with us, and if you would kind of walk us through House Bill 187.
Certainly will, Mr. Chairman. I want to do it quickly before anybody leaves.
Yeah, this one, as you recall, we kind of heard it, and there was some discussion, even the governor's office had some interest in maybe adding something to your bill. You were receptive, I think, but ultimately, they elected to pursue another avenue on that. So we're back to your original bill. Just give us a quick little refresher. I don't know that you really got into the details. We even had you a chance the last time, so if you'll just walk us through it real quick.
I will do that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for hearing the bill. It is substitute to House Bill 187, LC number 550466S. This is basically a bill that we see from time to time. It's 45 pages long. It deals with electrical contractors, plumbers, conditioned air contractors, low voltage contractors, and utility contractors. And I will run through the significant parts quickly. Lines 123 through 131 strike some language about licensure under this chapter not being required for a contractor certified by the Department of Public Health. Actually, that is moved to another section of the bill that sort of encompasses all of these licenses together. But in that particular strike, they are striking that, but it's moved somewhere else. Lines 279 to 281, only certain classes of licensed plumbers may install, maintain, and repair medical gas piping systems. Lines 384 through 386, CE for conditioned air contractors shall not be required for any AC contractor who is a registered professional engineer. Lines 441 through 443, each division shall make reasonable efforts to make CE available online or through home study courses and accessible outside of normal work schedules. Lines 474 through 479, persons not holding a valid license as a master or journeyman plumber shall not advertise that such a person is licensed as such. Lines 488 through 493, an employee of a low-voltage contractor who receives a salary or hourly wage may be licensed but shall not be required to be licensed unless they are required to due to requirements of a partnership, limited liability, or corporate situation. Lines 533 through 537 provide that an electrical contracting company may continue to operate for 90 days if the licensee dies in order to give time to engage a new licensee. 543 through 547, plumbing companies, if the licensee dies, again, they'll have 90 days to name a new licensee and a 90-day grace period to obtain a new licensee if needed. Lines 556 through 558, an HVAC company may have a grace period of 90 days to replace a deceased licensee. 559 through 565. An HVAC company that has more than one branch office must have at least one person who is a full-time employee who supervises other workers. Lines 584 through 588 ends the requirement that the board shall notify each local governing authority of the provisions of the chapter relating to the requirements that an examination must be passed in order to obtain a license. 589 through 594, when the exam has been failed twice, an applicant must submit evidence that a board-approved review course has been taken before the exam can be taken again. 629 through 634, regarding a low-voltage contractor, applicant for license must submit an affidavit that will describe in detail the installation of at least 3 complete low-voltage wiring jobs. Obviously, they're just having to show proof of practical experience to do what they're being licensed to do. Line 648 through 654, low-voltage contractors, again, have 90 days to name a new licensee upon the death of the licensee, with another 90-day grace period to do the same if needed. 61 through 680 removes requirements for giving names and addresses of officers, partners, etc., to the local government there. 905 or 9, I can't read my own writing. 905 through 943 is a very long section that deals with exemptions from licensing requirements for plumbing, electrical, air conditioning, and low voltage or utility companies. And 967 through 977 also deals with some exemptions from licensure that deals with people installing backflow prevention in sprinkler systems, and also for some propane dealers. Now, I did that as quickly as I could to try to cover what I thought were the significant parts there with the strikes and the ads. This bill passed your committee last year and actually was scheduled to go on the floor of the Senate and didn't get called. It's a cleanup bill that does a lot of wording change and cleanup, but that is the extent of the bill. Lee Lemke is here, who I'm carrying it for. All of the other lobbyists representing these different trades and licensees all work together on this to approve everything we did here, and so I would be happy to entertain any questions, but that is the bill.
So it looks like, once again, you're streamlining some of these licensing boards that deal in the
Yes.
construction trades.
Yes.
I remember our discussions last year about the low-voltage contractors or electricians. Was that a new designation last year in the bill, or is that something that's always been there? You're just kind of cleaning up the
I
language?
may have to ask Lee if that was new last year. Yeah.
All right.
Most electricians.
Let me get you to come up here, Mr. Lemke, so we can have you on a microphone so this can be recorded. Introduce yourself and tell them who you represent.
Hello, members. My name is Lee Lemke. I represent the plumbers and land electrical contractors. We have worked with the other groups as well. And low voltage, many of the electricians have a low voltage license as well. Low voltage is doing security alarms, things like
Right.
that.
So we already had that type of license.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that different than an electrician's license?
Yes.
Okay. This
Yes.
doesn't create a new license.
it does
It just sort of reorganizes how they're governed or licensed.
That's correct.
Anything in here that any of the trades you're working with feel like is an addition of red tape or regulatory burden to them?
No, sir. This was developed by the chairman of the board, his name Roland Weekly.
Yeah.
Roland is an engineer, and he's testified before this committee on 2 separate occasions.
Yeah.
And he's the one that put most of the work in there, working with the boards.
All right. I do not have anybody signed up to speak for or against this, so I'm assuming it's just a repeat from last year in
Yes, sir.
the cleanup language and sort of a little bit of reorganization.
Yes, sir.
Senator Ginn?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have a question. When you talked about on lines 556 and that general area right there, that you have a contractor that dies, that has a license in a business, then his subordinates could continue to operate for 90 days. And if the division said, hey, you can go for another 90 days, that gets you 180 days. And I remember years ago, there was a fellow that argued over in the House about voting after your family letting you vote after you died for a couple of years because they knew how you were going to vote anyhow. And at the same token, I'm thinking, okay, what's the logic for this particular field to allow somebody to continue to work under a dead man's license that's not overseeing? Because you're making me think that dead man, he either trained his folks really well, or what makes this one unique? I guess I'm not sure. Who was the fellow that argued that?
Denmark Grover.
Yeah, Denmark.
Mr. Groover was an esteemed member of the legislature from Macon, of course.
Basically-
Very highly thought of.
May I speak, Mr.
Sure,
Chairman?
go right ahead.
Some of the boards already had this in there, and that we wanted to be consistent between all 5 of them. And basically, the people have contracts that are ongoing. This would put a real dilemma where the contracts need to be met. And so this giving 90 days is what we feel is reasonable, and then an extra 90 days if the board deems that it needs to continue on. But these people are educated, they're people that know what they're doing. It's just that you need a licensed person, and it is a license for the company.
As long as we can make sure they vote right, too. That's what I want to make sure.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions by committee members? All right, go ahead, you got a question?
What, not, had a question.
You are recognized, Major Payne.
Could you repeat what you stated about the lines 584 through 588? I think from your notes, you were.
They go down to sergeant.
Apparently, there was some requirement that that they would have to notify relative to licensure, the names and addresses, et cetera. And I believe my note said it ends a requirement that the board shall notify each local governing authority of the provisions of the chapter relating to the requirements. I'm sorry, I'm on a different line. You said 584, 588, but were you talking about where they don't have to tell them the
Well,
names?
I thought that's what you said when you were reading that, and I thought you said 584 through 588, but all that's been stricken.
It's tricky.
584, 588 deals with that an examination must be passed to obtain, ends a requirement that the board shall notify each local governing authority of the provisions of the chapter that states they have to pass an examination to get the license, is what my notes say.
Okay.
Lee, do you see anything that's different there?
No.
I think it was stricken that they go in to apply for a license. It is striking some information that they had to provide for them in that process.
Okay, well, thank you.
All right. Seeing no further questions, we will be, we have a motion to pass, and that is from Senator Summers. It's to House Bill 1, it's seconded by Senator Ginn. It's House Bill 187, LC
I think the
55.
dean
You
had
got
a
a question?
second, but no, he had the
The dean is second, it don't matter.
He beat you to it. LC 550466S, that is what you're working off of, right?
Yes, sir. LC
There's a motion and a
55.
second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. And all opposed, like sign. Okay, you pass unanimous. Do you have a sponsor in the Senate?
Senator Steele is
All
to
right,
carry it for
Sean
us in the
Steele.
Senate.
We'll make a note of that. All right, let me tell you where we're going from here, committee and ex officio and audience. We're going to meet again on Tuesday afternoon at 4 o'clock We have the room for 2 hours, and we're meeting again on Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. We have the room for 2 hours. We have 2 bills that the authors have asked to hold. You'll notice the last one on our agenda today was House Bill 91. We also had House Bill 314 the other day, and today, House Bill 630 that Wiedauer presented. Those 3, if the authors want them, will be on the calendar, the agenda, presuming that 314 is moved to come off the table. We also have the vaping bill that's still before us. I expect we'll hear the rest of the testimony on that. And we have the private water service bill that we'll need to hear that. And finally, there is a bill on radiology assistance, House Bill 571. So that gives us 3 kind of holdover, well, 3 of them that we really hadn't heard yet that have been held. We have to finish the hearing on the vaping and the water, and we'll hear the radiologist bill. So we got about 6 of them to hear in a couple of meetings, and I think we'll have adequate time. If we fail to reach them all that time, we do have a final meeting next Thursday. My goal is to complete our business before then, because that should be a relatively busy day on the floor. If I'm not mistaken, that will be piling the bills on pretty good, and this can get postponed, so just kind of like today's was. So we'll see what we can do. Any House members that have a bill in my committee that want a hearing, make sure to reach back out to me and request that. And if there is a favorite time or conflicts or problems that you want to be Tuesday versus Wednesday, please let me know, because tomorrow we intend to issue the schedule for both of those final meetings, so everybody knows where we're going from here. And with that, we are adjourned. Y'all have a good evening. Sergeant, thanks for being